All right, folks, we are live. Welcome back. Today we're going to be reacting to the heated Trump versus Zelensky back and forth that just occurred. This is going viral for many different reasons. Unfortunately, some people think that this is a reasonable way to govern. But we're going to be getting into a lot today. I'm going to give you guys our Discord link, as always. Just when we get started, I will be taking some calls today. So, Trump is a parody of a president, someone just said. Yeah, it's worse than that. It's not a parody, it's like a horror film. All right, well let's react to this nonsense. Let's take it. Actually, before we do, let's just remind everyone that Trump has been extorting the Ukraine. Trump is guilty of extortion, as far as I'm concerned. Political extortion. So, in political context, extortion refers to situations where one party exploits another's vulnerability for gain. This is exactly what Trump's been trying to do with this mineral deal. The Ukraine is an ally. They're under war duress right now. And a weasel like Trump will think that, wow, this is a great opportunity to weasel in there and try and squeeze this nation that's suffering, this ally that is suffering, squeeze them for a $500 billion mineral deal with threats of pulling out our necessary support if they don't sign. This is extortion. And it's probably the worst geopolitical stain, maybe even in American history. And and a lot of people don't seem to see this yet, but it is a money-grubbing, disgusting act that's happened here. This extortion, and nobody should be okay with it. So I wanted to go there first before we get into reacting to this video today. Oh, and by the way, a lot of people think that like, oh, Trump's just trying to get some payback for all of the, all the support that the United States has been giving to the Ukraine since Russia invaded. All of that support was granted to the Ukraine. It's a grant. It's not a loan. It's not something you can come back later if you're an ethical person. If you're not an ethical person, then you can do anything. You could bully, you could coerce, you can extort. You just won't care. But if you are an ethical person, you're going to realize that there was no agreement that all these supplies were coming in expecting to be paid back. And that's been Zelensky's position, because Zelensky's position is based on what's actually the case. And Trump is trying to change that after the deal is done and the resources are being used. So yeah, let's react to this video. Let's get it going. Let's see what happened here.
Do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all,
let's go through that again.
Do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office?
How dare J.D. Vance and Donald Trump sit there and utter the word respect. How can anyone not see this as hypocrisy? This is the most unrespectful, disrespectful cabinetcy, president, administration that's ever sat maybe at any helm of any country. The most disrespectful by far. So, yeah, I mean, JD Vance just farming for respect. That's like the big currency for this administration and Donald Trump. Respect. You need to show me respect. You need to, show me public respect. And then, against people with better credentials, I'm going to point you into positions of power if you show me enough public respect.
Of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless you.
Administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
Yeah, I think Zelensky's making a point that, you're not feeling the pressures of these wars now or what the outcome might be of this war. And but rest assured, you're gonna feel it in the future. And, this is it is true that I think Zelensky's falling into this kind of petty rhetoric that he doesn't need to fall into. He doesn't know what kind of pressures the United States of America are going to feel from this. The separation of the ocean is that aspect of it doesn't really mean anything on a trade scale, but I know what he's getting at in that these escalations and where things are, what's been going on in the Ukraine, you're definitely going to feel it more and be more war wary if you're in, say, France. There isn't that oceanic separation there. So yeah, this is.
God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very.
This is Donald Trump. Someone making a point about what they perceive the future going to be, but it's really here about Trump. He's like a child that doesn't like to be told what to do. You're not going to tell me what to feel. This is what politics has become, folks.
Will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position.
Ooh, okay, here we go. Here's where Trump starts working for Putin. Everybody ready?
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position. So just let me remind you that this is Trump talking to an ally who's been invaded by a country that we've been in a Cold War with basically forever. And he's saying that Zelensky is responsible. This is what he's saying. This is how propaganda gets into the minds of people who are captured. They see this kind of rhetoric. They see these statements as yeah, you did do this. You did allow this to happen. And then all of a sudden it becomes common knowledge amongst the circle jerk that Zelensky is the problem and the Ukraine is the problem. They're the ones that allowed this to happen.
You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the
bad
very
position.
beginning
And
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position. Disgusting.
he happens to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You don't
was
have the
in-
cards right now.
Donald Trump is just, that's the depths of his intellect. Like, he's just full of platitudes and attacks. So you don't hold the cards. You're in a very bad position. This isn't good for you. You're not looking very good right now.
With us, you start having
Not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. Zelensky is mounting a defense against an invading Russia right now. And Donald Trump has the gall to say that he is gambling with the lives of millions of people. This is exactly what Putin wants Trump to do. Trump works for Putin now. Those of you in the United States who voted Trump in, are you going to start apologizing now, or are you going to dig your heels in and become another finger for Putin? You might as well be honest about it at this point. Like, let's get honest about this. You like Russia. You want what Russia has. Just be honest about it. Don't hide behind this idea that this is at all what the United States stands for or has stood for. No one's going to believe that. No one will believe you on that anymore. Just come out and say it. You love what Putin has done for Russia. You want that in the United States of America. That's what you want. Look, and already this guy, Trump, no apologies, quit crying. Fuck Ukraine, fuck Russia. No, you can't say fuck Russia anymore. You work for Russia now. You're Russia's bitch. Trump's your daddy. And Putin is Trump's daddy. So Putin's your granddaddy. So start calling him granddaddy. Don't start saying Russia or Putin. Lucas Dunn says, I love Putin. There you go. There you go. Come out and say it. Say you love Putin. Say you love Russia and what Putin has done for Russia. Just say it. Don't hide behind the United States flag anymore. Don't do that. Just say it. You've been indoctrinated to believe that Zelensky is responsible at all for what's going on in the Ukraine and Russia right now in this war. You've been indoctrinated. And you've been indoctrinated so deeply that you elected a guy who everyone was warning you about, who's just going to be a finger for Putin. And that's exactly what's happening right now. That's exactly what's happening right now. So you elected Putin's bitch into the highest position of power in the United States of America. Let's keep watching.
Gambling with World War III. You're gambling
with World War III.
You're gambling.
Here we go.
You're gambling with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
what do you
You're
speak about?
gambling with
What do you
World
speak
War
about?
III.
You're gambling with World War III, huh? And what side of World War III would Donald Trump be on? Where would his sympathies lie? And how does that make any fucking sense? Gambling with World War III. Trump is just a never-ending source of fear-mongering, anti-science, misinformation, disinformation, criminality, sexual abuse. Like, he's got the full package. Come on, there's got to be something to like about him. Look at how he's treating. Imagine if you were a Ukrainian citizen. Let's say you've lost a few kids in this war. They've died on the front lines defending their country. And you have this inept, individual pointing the finger at your leader, saying that he's the one who's gambling with World War III. And that he's the one to, what were his exact words? You've let this gone on too long. Like pointing the finger at Zelensky like he's responsible.
And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's back to you, far more than with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's back to you, far.
What you're doing is disrespectful. Zelensky is trying to hold Trump accountable as an ally. But Trump doesn't like being held accountable for anything. He won't be held accountable. You're not going to tell me how to think or what to do or how to feel. I'm just going to do my thing. Like, so yeah, like I see some of you finally saying it in the comment section. Yeah, I don't have a problem with Russia. Yeah, there you go. You fell for it. There you go. What's wrong with Putin? A fascist dictator who murders political opponents and dissenting voices. Is that enough? Or is that what you want? Just admit that that's what you want if that's what you want. Just don't beat around the bush. Yeah, I mean, a lot of... make sure you guys are subscribed. I do a lot of... I'm going to be doing a lot of streams trying to follow Trump around and point out the obvious mistakes he makes and the obvious immorality and brutal way of operating.
Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania.
Wow, what a deep intellect JD Vance has after listening to all of that. Have you said thank you once? Is this a preschool argument over who shared whose cake during whose party? Like what is this?
Meeting, have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United
Oh, now it's about who you campaigned for. You dirty, dirty little fucking rat. You dirty little rat. What a disgusting thing to say to a leader of an allied nation who's at war because Russia has invaded them. Now JD Vance just showed where his morality lies. Right there. Let's watch it again.
October. Offer some words of appreciation for the Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America.
Christ. And Trump sitting there like a wounded cat. Yeah, that is true. He did do that. This is such a stain on American history. It's unbelievable. And some of you just don't even realize like how deep of a stain this is. Like this is so disgusting. Oh my God.
And the president who's trying to save your country.
He's not trying to save his country. He's like a mob boss. He's like, yeah, we'll continue supplying you with war supplies if you sign this deal that guarantees us $500 billion in minerals. He's trying to save your country through extortion, Mr. Zelensky. That's what he should have said.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's
Can
in big trouble.
Can I...
Finally, Trump jumps at something that he might be able to be right about and truthful about. No. I know at least this much. He's not speaking loudly. That wasn't loud.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you can...
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I answer?
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
Yeah. He's. Why would you give more airtime to your ally that's at war to say his piece? It's more important for Donald Trump to say your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this.
This is the oh, okay, now we're going to get into you're not winning this. Yeah. Putin's dog right here, folks. Putin's bitch
is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. Just give up. That's the kind of fucking rhetoric that's coming out of Donald Trump right now.
You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our...
Also, Donald Trump does realize that there are other nations who can step in with their riches to support Ukraine, and I think many others would if the United States canceled all support.
Our country staying strong from the very beginning of the war. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military...
president.
That's not what Zelensky meant, you fucking idiot. He didn't mean that they haven't been getting support, and that's what Donald Trump jumped on. He knows he's been getting support. You're talking about boots on the ground, man. That just went over Donald Trump's waft, though.
Equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days,
in 2 weeks. Where does Donald Trump come up with these numbers? This is a big moment. This Zelensky blow up interview, whatever the fuck you want to call this. This is the deepest shit stain on the United States of America. The deepest shit stain. Hey, handsome type. It's not your money that is to be given back. It was granted to your ally. How do you not understand that? It's a good thing you're not in charge.
If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad Zelensky went there. Oh, I heard it from Putin. Yeah. It would have been over in 3 days. Bull fucking shit. You don't think Zelensky would have reached out to other nations for the necessary support? This is more of the Americana, we're all you got, There's a whole fucking globe world out there full of people who have great military assets that can also support the Ukraine. But it's quite obvious that Zelensky just doesn't want to say, fuck off because of this big fat orange idiot. He realizes that he can deal with this child and still continue to receive some support. So I love that he just said that. Oh yeah, I heard it from Putin. 3 days, 2 weeks. That's so good. Just point it right out. This is fucking Vladimir Putin's lapdog.
you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe
new.
Less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times.
Wow, here comes JD Vance with another deeply intellectual insight as to this debate and discussion that's happening right now. If you just said thank you, there you go, United States of America. You have produced the biggest, fattest turd in the White House that the world has ever seen. Do you feel proud about it? Hello. Make sure you guys drop a like if you like streams like this. I'm going to be going through your comments, and then I'll be taking a few calls. If you want to call in, feel free to call in and chat with me through our Discord server. I wonder, like, I'm so glad that the Trump cult isn't calling this video a deep fake or something like that. At least they're accepting that it's real. And just, it'll be sooner rather than later that Trump supporters, the hardcore Trumpers, the Trump cult is going to come out and say, you know what? Fine. I'm ready to be honest. I love Putin and I love Mother Russia. That's what the United States should be. Some of you are already saying it. Like I have no problem with Russia. Some of you are already saying it. I'm just saying, like, a lot of you are just on the cusp of saying it. You're just too ashamed to let it come out of your mouth. But just try saying it and see how it feels.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good.
In other words, I don't think it's a good. I don't like that you have made us look like fools in front of our own people here.
We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look.
Why do you think the ceasefire agreements haven't worked yet, Donald? You thought you could just come in and I'll have this war over in no time. It'll take me days. Why do you think this hasn't worked? Because the Ukrainian people are not going to give up to this expansionist dictator. Land that is rightfully theirs, and the people want to fight for it.
If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you'd take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course we want.
Yeah, that's exactly what Putin would argue, right? You want your people to stop dying? You want the bullets to stop flying? Let's get a deal done right now. We want this, that, and the other, and we'll give you all this, and we won't come back. We won't come back, but we're taking this stuff, whether you like it or not. At least the bullets will stop flying. That's exactly what's happening right now. This is what the Russian chief negotiator argues for.
Want to stop
the fuck
war,
is this?
You're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire
with guarantees,
because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people.
Trump just wants a ceasefire so he can say, look what I did. I caused a ceasefire. I don't think he gives a fuck about what Ukraine is being asked to give up.
About ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what,
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Who is not a smart person. God. I hope that this exchange, because it's blowing up so much, people like can't avoid looking at it. I hope this exchange pulls the curtain down a little bit, lifts the veil a little bit on Trump. Like, it's hard to believe that it will, because the people who like are desperately devoted to Trump, they've seen so much shit. This is very bad. I mean, this is obviously Trump working for Putin. This is just obvious. And that's it. Like, this is not a situation where he's like working for the United States of America here. Yeah, that should be quite clear. Well, then who's he working for? What's he doing? What's he trying to accomplish? He's trying to accomplish Russia's directive, Russia's interests. That's what he's doing. Why is he doing it? Well, maybe what Russia does isn't so bad after all. I mean, look at how long Putin's able to rule there. He's able to rule. No one bothers him. Well, if they bother him, they better be careful, because we don't like that. This is so disgusting. Mind-boggling.
Excuse me, that was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins.
Yeah, I better repeat that in case no one heard me say it 3 times before. He's giving his simple-minded audience something that they can repeat. That's very, very easy. Like, it's Sesame Street. Let's listen to all that again. This is Sesame Street.
I gave you javelins.
I gave you javelins.
Obama
gave you sheets. I gave you javelins. And Obama, it is what they say. I gave you javelins. Obama gave you sheets. Sesame Street.
Of course, we want to stop the war, but
because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
Who is not a smart person. Then he's going to go into Sesame Street right here. It's unbelievable.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins.
In fact, the statement is, children, Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. This guy is the president of the United States of America. The United States of America.
You got to be more thankful.
And then he just goes back. He's like, what were we talking about again? You got to be more thankful. This Biden wasn't a smart person.
Let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
Back to the cards. Oh, my God. Wow. Well, let's see what you guys think. I'm going to go through some comments here. That is some silly, silly bullshit. Wow. Did that just happen? Did I just watch that? R.W. Chamberlain. Okay, here we go. Here comes the brilliant comment section here. Dude, you're getting trolled to death and you're about to have a panic attack. It's okay. Have a drink of water. Your dad Trump will save you. Hasn't the right wing changed a lot? Like how they refer to the president as their daddy. That's changed a lot in 20 years. Daddy will save me. Daddy's home. Daddy's back. Oh, we are so back with Daddy. Wow. Crazy conspiracies. You're an idiot. This guy needs to move to Ukraine. Oh my God. A1 says, okay, here we go. Finally, someone laid it out for me, and now I'm a believer. Trump is based, and it's as simple as that. You know, I've done a lot of these live streams, and do you know how many times people have actually written down some coherent justifications for their beliefs, their belief in Trump and what Trump stands for and what Trump does? Like how many times someone's actually written down some coherent justifications? I'm not sure it's happened yet. And there's been tens of thousands of comments. You act like a drug addict that's trying to convince people he's not on drugs. What does that have to do with anything? Todd says orange traitor. Yeah, I mean, at this point, like calling Donald Trump a traitor, there's a lot of substance there, right? You can make a strong argument as to why he's a traitor with regard to this Ukraine war. TB Man 2430 says, at what point in history did the U.S. become Russian allies? Yeah, exactly. Did I miss something when all of a sudden the United States was going to do the bidding of Russia and become Russia's allies when they're at war with their fucking ally? They're at war with an ally, motherfucker. Bro is coping. Oh yeah, that's what it is. My cope is the problem. It couldn't have been that entire interview we just dissected. Amelia says, I'm so ashamed at their behavior. They gang up on Zelensky. Yeah. Zelensky, by the way. I think you wrote Zelensky. Yeah. Richard says, no more Russian conspiracy bullshit, please. What do you mean Russian conspiracy bullshit? Are you trying to tell me that what Trump has just said to Zelensky aren't the talking points coming from Putin, coming from Russia? Pushing for a ceasefire agreement or an end to the war that only favors Russia? Yeah, more daddy is home. Like, oh man. Gabriel McMahon says this dude is supremely misinformed. On what? This is what I'm talking about. There's I hate to say it, but it's become this colloquial virus to be so simple-minded on issues and to not be able to articulate your justifications that it's led to this complete bankrupt epistemology where people can't even articulate why what someone is saying is wrong. They just say it's wrong. In a lot of cases because they've been told to say it's wrong. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you want to be notified when I go live, and consider subscribing. We're going to be holding Trump accountable for his entire, well, depending on how long he makes it. I have some predictions that he's not going to last. Violence is not the answer, though, folks. Yeah, Floreno says, sounds like you don't have any skin in the game. Grab a rifle and stop talking shit. Do you say the same thing with regards to the abortion argument? Like what does that even mean? If I'm not in the front line, I shouldn't have a moral opinion or ethical opinion on it. That's stupid. If you've never been a victim of domestic violence, you can't have a moral or ethical opinion on it. Yeah, why would you keep funding an ally that has a very small country in comparison to the invading country who's actually an enemy? Yeah, why would you do that? Yeah, I wonder what kind of impeachment orders are coming coming Trump's way. There's going to be a lot of them. There's no lack of substance there. Trump's brain is broken. Yeah, we've known that for a long time. All right, let me take a see if anyone wants to jump in. All right, Trey, you're up. How's it going?
Hey, Travis. Hey, good. How are you?
Good.
Hey, your Trump impersonation is getting better, by the way. I'm noticing that.
Well, yeah, no, thanks. I mean, we've had a long stint here of practice, so I better be like have a semi-par version. But yeah, what do you got? What did you think of this this interview up or whatever this is?
I didn't like it. I'm looking at it right here on a website, and you can see how uncomfortable. First, you notice how Trump raises his voice. You can see how uncomfortable Zelensky is. You saw JD's hands go up. Zelensky like crossed his arms. JD's hands went up. Hey, we're. You can see the body language. You know how they say like body language is more than actual speaking, right?
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
Yeah,
the behavioral sciences and what we know about body language in situations like this, you can tell a lot. Definitely, it's never definitive, but you can get a good idea of how someone's feeling by their body language. Yeah,
it doesn't look good. I kind of felt sorry for Zelensky. Did you feel sorry for him?
Yeah, I mean, sure. His country's at war because of an invading Russia. And he's sitting there being told he's the problem and that Ukraine is the problem, and that if only they would accept these ceasefire offerings or these end of war offerings that have been completely heavily favoring Russia, then everything would be fine, but you just won't do it. And then now they're pointing finger at Zelensky. And then this idea of like, you should be kissing our boots, you should be thanking us. Like that just makes the United States leadership look so weak. Like, you didn't say thank you. It's like, what? Really? Like that's what you're spending time addressing and talking about. Not only saying it once, but on many, many, many occasions. Like it just the whole thing seemed petty, and it seemed like, a country that has all these resources, a very rich country, looking at, in comparison, a very poor country with a lack of resources that's being invaded by Russia, being picked on. And I don't like that. But that's the thing. Like, a lot of Trump supporters like bullying. Like when Trump engages in bullying, they think it's a good thing. And it's a real problem. Like they shouldn't see that as a good thing. They should see it as a bad thing. And how do we go to war with those ideas? Well, we just have to keep having great conversations on how to maximize well-being for human beings. And bullying is not the way.
For sure, bullying. Definitely against bullying. But yeah, I mean, I felt sorry for Zelensky. I could tell by his body language. He's obviously in a tough position against Russia fighting a war, and he's gotten tons of aid in the past 4 years. And I don't know if the aid is going to be the same. It doesn't look like it is, but it looks like that he did not sign the ceasefire either, or the mineral deal after leaving today. So
yeah, we
still don't know what's going to happen after this.
Yeah, I don't think he should sign the mineral deal. If I was the leader, I wouldn't. I would start lobbying for other support to fill in the gaps. If I saw things crumbling down like this with the United States of America, and that they're adopting Putin's talking points and Putin's negotiation strategies, all the things that Mother Russia is saying, that's what Trump is peddling right now. And that's why I think Trump is working for Russia right now. And I don't mean that in like, oh, they have a signed background deal. I don't mean that. I mean that what he's doing, and probably just because he's stupid and deeply immoral, he doesn't realize that he's just doing Russia's bidding right now. So I'm just, I'm not shocked by it. It's just another thing I feel the need to come online and respond to, because it's, going through this and pointing out the obvious unethical, deeply immoral issues with how the United States is dealing with Ukraine right now. At least the leadership is should be troubling to people, and they should at least take away from this live stream that there are things about how Trump is treating other allied nations that are he's not treating them in a good way. So
it was, we don't want to see that, right? By the way, somebody said, like, when has the U.S. aligned with Russia? I mean, you look at World War II, the U.S., they were partners with the Soviet Union fighting the Nazis.
Of course, yeah. So that was, some people will say that was like not an alliance in the traditional sense, but yes, of course, there's no question that the Red Army played a massive role. They sacrificed 29 million of their own people to defeat Adolf Hitler and the Axis powers. So,
they liberated the eastern sides of the camps, and those were the bigger camps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've seen it. I've seen you play like Civilization 7, like the foreign policies and partnerships between nations are so complex. I don't like what I saw as far as the argument today between them, and the Ukrainians have every right to defend themselves. I don't know if this is going to be good for them losing some kind of supplies from the United States while fighting Russia.
Look, it's a huge blow if that does happen. It's not only a huge blow to them, it's a massive blow to the United States of America diplomatically. It is perfect fuel for any nation with regards to all trade deals, any kind of alliances. They should all be pending leadership from now on. You can't trust the American people to elect competent leaders. This is just, they've done this twice. It wasn't, you can point at it once and say, oh, that was an anomaly because they wanted to say fuck the system and make a statement, but they came back and did it again. So it's if I'm another nation, I'm dealing with with the United States of America at least an arm's length now. I don't have my arm around them. It's important to maintain diplomacy with the United States of America, but it's hard to justify trusting the United States of America anymore. It's just it's and it sucks, right? Because there are so many people that think what Trump's doing right now is just absolutely ludicrous and insane, and they don't want anything to do with it, and they happen to be American. But it's just this is the time. Like, this is such a if you want to look at like the bright side of this is such a good time for people to become politically active, to start campaigning, to start fighting for a different kind of democratic policy, a different kind of democratic party package. Everything's primed and ready for that right now. So people should become active right now. Don't wait too long. Activate right now. Don't fall into the deeply immoral and wrong side of committing political violence or committing violence against politicians, trying to assassinate Trump. That is not the way to go. This is, if you really do believe in democracy, if you want nothing to do with Putin's world, then you should start forming up your own parties, your own constituents, and start playing democracy to win in the United States. Because the Democrats for too long now, have been just I would say living off the coattails of the very muscular Obama era that really was prescient and really did carry the Democrats. I would say that was what won Biden the election, and that one was probably pretty lucky to win. But they really have to rebrand and get something entertaining and muscular and joyful and triumphant and drive that up and get stuff going, get people activated, get people motivated, inspire people, because right now they're dead and out. So it's at the, this is the time. And with everything that's going on, with Trump and the way he's treating allies, the way he's treating people, the way he's, making fun of things when tragedies strike, like plane crashes that kill people, this is the time where people are going to have the energy to get active. So, let's go.
Yeah, I agree. Democrats need to do what you said. I definitely agree with that. Do you think that this might encourage Europeans to step up a little bit more, given that the U.S., we don't know if we're going to keep supporting them or not, or lower our support, or what the deal is?
I think all of Ukraine's allies should speak out against Donald Trump right now and how he has treated Zelensky in the Ukraine. The extortion that has occurred with Trump trying to squeeze this mineral deal out of a war-wounded, war-duressed nation, allied nation, from an invading Russia. They should all come together and denounce Donald Trump, and they should all pool together and maybe even tell the United States of America, we can't trust you. We don't want you involved in this support anymore. It probably doesn't need to go that far, honestly. Like it denouncing it and overflowing Ukraine with the muscle they need to adequately defend themselves, and to defend themselves to a point where they push Russia out of their land. That's what these nations should do. And I would be very thrilled if I saw, Canada, I'm a Canadian, if I saw Canada do this, and, and Canada and Great Britain are very much tied in with one another. So I would expect Great Britain to do the same.
I think you bring up a good point there. I think given with all the support that the U.S. has given Ukraine, the majority of the support, maybe this is just a symptom of people being tired of it, people being tired of this war, and perhaps other countries are going to step up now, and maybe Ukraine can actually go on the offense. Because as you know, in war, you don't really win a war by staying on a line. At some point, you have to push beyond that line.
Yeah. Yeah, there also is the Afghanistan effect. Like, and I think Zelensky is well aware that it may just there may just come a time where the Russian people might just say enough is enough, and they might have some real internal problems and struggles to try and fight for an end to this war, if the Ukrainian resistance is strong enough, and then eventually Russia just pulls out, and maybe they just lean on, like, well, our main objective was to make sure we got rid of all the Nazis in the Ukraine, like whatever conspiracy theory they want to propagate. Like maybe that's Putin's way out, to be like, no, we made great accomplishments there, and we made sure that this, that, and the other was happening, and whatever, at what cost. But this is a classic, Russian tradition that just doesn't seem to die, where they just are going to keep throwing bodies at a problem. And seemingly with no other plan.
What's interesting, what you were just saying, I think, like, if this war were to drag on, and let's say in some scenario where Ukraine loses more territory, to the point where you have Ukrainians, civilians embedded within Ukrainian soldiers, you're going to get a counterinsurgency operation where Russia not only has to deal with soldiers, but they also have to deal with the populace. And that's just a stalemate. You can't win a counterinsurgency. The U.S. was in a counterinsurgency in Afghanistan. We could never win that. Like, another scenario where the U.S. was in a counterinsurgency where we actually won was the American Revolution, because the U.S. population was embedded within the militia. And but one thing that's different with that was that England was thousands of miles away, and the problem with Russia and Ukraine is that they're neighbors.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, logistically, it's way less of a battle for Russia to maintain this war, and it's damn near impossible to affect the trade network or the supply network necessary to maintain this. But I think the people themselves in Russia, at some point, you gotta believe, as the bodies continue to stack up, that there's going to be some kind of uprising saying that enough is enough. And I know Putin does a really good job of stomping out anything that's counter to his objectives. But
I know you're probably going to pick somebody else up, but real quick, the Russians were in Afghanistan too. They were there for 10 years. Yeah, and they were also fighting counterinsurgency or coin operations, and the U.S. backed the Afghans, right? And then 20 years later, we're at war with them, which is that's how complex this stuff is. Yeah, but
it's amazing how things do sway. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Trey. I appreciate the call.
Yep. Thanks, man.
Thanks. All right. That was Trey, everyone. Make sure you smash the like button on YouTube if you enjoy political commentary and streams like this. I'm going to be live more often talking about what's going on in the world, so make sure you smash the like button and consider subscribing. We produce live intellectual debates and discussions all around the world. So if you like philosophy, science, Pangburn's for you. All right, I'm going to take, let's go with Don Canaman. Mr. Canaman, are you with us? Hey, Don.
He'll be right back, Travis. He stepped away for just a second.
Yeah, that's all right. No worries. Yeah, so I'm curious how many new proponents, supporters of Putin and Russia do we have in the comments? Do we have a lot of you MAGA people finally admitting that you are pro-Russia, pro-Putin, and that's what you want in the United States? Let's see. Yeah, I'm seeing some. You seem not to be too upset about what Trump's doing. Jaziel Sethling says, to say Russia is an aggressor is childish. Okay, so basically the rest of the world is childish, but you? Yikes. Hot take.
Hey, bud. Sorry about that.
No worries. How's it going, Don?
Oh, going good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. What did you think about this very strange, unprecedented, kind of childish interaction between Trump and Zelensky?
Well, you nailed it right there with childish. I graduated high school over 30 years ago, and this took me back to junior high when I would see the bullies and try to strong arm people for lunch money, things like that. And that's what I saw when Vance was speaking, was that high school bully.
Right.
And then when I saw and listened to Trump speak, he reminded me of the drunk sitting at the corner in the bar who always has had a worse life than you, or the worst job than you, or been injured worse than you, just the one-upper.
Yeah, the one-upper. Yeah, that's so right, Don. That's so right.
I just find it ridiculous that people fall for such obviously fake rhetoric and things like alternative facts.
Yeah.
I'll never understand that one.
Yeah. Like I just like, I know that when you become so politically captured by someone like Trump, you're programmed to do everything you can to try and not look at the obvious direct lines between what Putin has been saying about what Ukraine needs to do and what Trump is saying about what Ukraine needs to do, and what Putin says about Zelensky and what Trump says about Zelensky. Like you're programmed to avoid that, to not look at it. But I'm trying to encourage as many people as I can is just to look at how obvious it is that Trump in a very Trumpian type way is doing Putin's bidding here. And so, and if you want to say that like Putin is right in this case, that's fine. Then at least try to defend it from that perspective. And I will disagree with you, till the cows come home that, Putin's the obvious aggressor here. Putin's in the wrong, Russia's in the wrong, and they need to pay the price. But at least we can have a conversation about what's actually going on, and we're not trying to have a conversation about how I don't see the connection between Trump and Putin right now. Like that's when it gets to that point, it's hard not to dismiss the conversation as bad faith or the conversation is at a level of ignorance that it's really hard to find a step forward on that particular topic. Like it's hard to talk about that if there isn't an acceptance of just the basic facts, the basic connections between what Putin and Trump is saying about the Ukraine. So,
and spin the situation around. Insert United States where Ukraine is and any other country in the world. We're supposed to what territory should we cede to Canada if you guys decide to invade us? Should we just go ahead and give you guys like Michigan and Montana and the Dakotas?
Right.
Is that what we should do just to make sure peace is,
and then can you imagine if like Great Britain came over to help like negotiate and they pointed the finger at the United States of America and said, you're the ones that are causing the issue here. You're the ones that are just playing fast and loose with World War III. You're the ones who have caused this, and it was Canada who invaded, right?
Right.
So this is the analogy that is real here. This isn't a fake analogy. This isn't hyperbole. This is. So, I mean...
No American, no patriot, real patriot would stand for that. And they should recognize the sovereignty of the Ukraine, just like we would expect Ukraine to recognize our sovereignty or Canada to recognize our sovereignty, right, and not invade.
Right. Yeah. Just maybe try not invading other nations and trying to fool the rest of the world, thinking that it was about like how the Ukraine is harboring Nazis, or they're killing Russians by the thousands, in concentration camps and all of these false, conspiracy theories that turned out not to be true, obviously. So yeah, I mean, the reasons why Putin gave for going into Ukraine in the first place are the exact same reasons Hitler gave for going into Poland. Mm-hmm. People do realize this, right? I can pull up the information right now.
I mean, you look at Trump. He's on record for saying that. Now it's misquoted as he said that he keeps a copy of Mein Kampf in his bedside table. He doesn't. He keeps a copy of Hitler's speeches. Is what it is. And then he claims he's never read it. But then if somebody else were to go read Mein Kampf and Hitler's speeches, look at what the Heritage Foundation has ordered Trump to do, and you see direct parallels between them.
Yeah. I mean, there does seem to be no depths to Donald Trump's immorality. I'm not surprised by it anymore. I expect things like this, like just someone who just shows complete ineptitude and inability to engage in any kind of diplomacy because he doesn't know anything about politics. He doesn't know anything about diplomacy. He has his entire history of his life has been just what can I get away with? and who can I screw to get a better deal. And it doesn't matter at what level I screw them. This is what he's doing with Zelensky right now. And it's fucking brutal. I can't imagine the American people being okay, anyone being okay with, this extortion of the Ukraine. A vulnerable nation during war times, using that vulnerability as a way to try to extract some financial gain from the country. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, when I heard about that the other day, that just made me sick. It's just like, yeah, okay, give us your lithium or whatever minerals they want out of it, and we'll help you still. Yeah. Instead of just helping you out of a sense of duty, or that we agreed to.
Yeah, and also like the misinformed American public thinking that the Ukraine owes the United States for the support they've already received. This was a grant, folks. This happens with allies. You grant them things. Yeah. This is a grant. You don't get to come in when you're a new president and come in and say, no, I actually want money for what was granted to you. Or I want minerals. That's exactly what happened here. That's how stupid this is. If you need me to dumb down the analogy for you. Grinifer says, vulnerable nation? Ha! How can you get more vulnerable than where the Ukraine's at right now? What are you talking about? Yeah, I Am Numb doesn't care about the rules of diplomacy either. It says, fucking right, they owe us. Ha! Man.
Yeah, see, and that's exactly what he was campaigning to, was the poorly educated. That's who voted for him. That's who put him in office, is people who didn't care enough to find out if the news they were being reported was facts.
Well, I do agree that there is a big problem with, the kind of education that's available in the United States. Unfortunately, there's also this big swath of people who I spoke with, who I think are very wise and smart people, who still to this day try to claim to me that Donald Trump was the lesser of two evils when comparing him to Kamala Harris, which is insane to me. Like, this is something where I know some people have changed their mind on it, and some haven't, but it does baffle me that people, and it's like the whole Sam Harris thing. Sam Harris tried to say with using his Sam Harrisian type rhetoric in a way of how dangerous he believes Trump to be by giving some pretty wild analogies and hypotheticals, but that's how I feel here too. Like Trump, how dangerous Trump is and how bad Trump is so underplayed by the music and the aesthetic of it all, because it just, something about it still looks presidential, like it's still within the thick bureaucracy that is the United States of America. But if you're able to pull all that down and actually just analyze what's said, analyze the ideas, analyze the behavior, this guy is a fucking lunatic. He's a fucking lunatic, and he's in the highest position of power put there by the people of the United States of America. I want to get Robin in. Robin, what do you think of all this?
I just wonder. I've been reading chat. I just wonder how many of these people have ever even heard of the Budapest Memorandum. In 1984, we signed an agreement, a treaty with Ukraine and the UK and Russia, and they all signed it, that said that they would give us their nuclear weapons that they had, and we would defend them. We would economically, it's in there, economic agreement that we will economically support them. And So, I mean, nobody knows this. It seems like all these people that think they are so educated about this issue, and are talking about how Trump, is in the right for what he's doing, and he's making us into somebody who does not keep our word. I mean, he has no honor, no character, he deserves no respect,
Well,
and he is just embarrassing me and embarrassing America.
Yeah, and how hilarious and hypocritical was it that during this little interview we just watched, this exchange, how Trump and JD Vance just felt that they were so owed respect from Zelensky. Why should these guys? Why are these guys deserving of any respect whatsoever? They're the most disrespectful people I've probably ever seen in office.
Trump's a traitor. I mean, he's simple. That's all he is. He's a traitor. He should, he should be charged with treason for what he's done. And I just can't even imagine being deluded enough to think that we should just make treaties with countries and break our word and bully people and extort people. And, kids are being kidnapped like in Ukraine constantly by the Russians and taken over there, and they will train them. They will make them like become Russian and then send them to the war to fight their own people. It's just disgusting. And I don't even know what's wrong with my country. It's like people support this man, and I don't understand. He's immoral. He is the most immoral leader we've ever had, and we've probably had some really immoral presidents. But he definitely is by far the worst.
Yeah, and I thanks, Robin. And I want to give some information here, just as a bit of an update. So since the onset of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, extensive evidence has emerged of Russian forces committing numerous war crimes and human rights violations. These transgressions encompass deliberate attacks on civilians, torture, sexual violence, forced deportations, and the systematic erasure of Ukrainian culture and identity. And before I read this, let me just grab just so you guys know the sources. So we're going from Wiki, all the sources included here: share.america.gov, Wiki, App News, New York Post, Scottish Sun, Reuters, Le Monde.fr, Amnesty.org, Ukraine.un.org. So yeah, I always corroborate with at least 14 different sources to get the information. So here we go. Deliberate attacks on civilians. Russian military operations have repeatedly targeted civilian infrastructure, resulting in significant loss of life and widespread fear among the Ukrainian people. Notably, in October 2023, Russian soldiers executed a family of 9 in Volnovakha, including 2 children, after the family refused to vacate their home for military use. Photographs from the scene depicted victims shot in their beds, some embracing each other, highlighting the brutality of the act. Torture and inhumane treatment. Investigations have uncovered widespread and systematic use of torture by Russian authorities against Ukrainian civilians and prisoners of war. A UN-backed panel reported that detainees were subjected to severe beatings, electric shocks, forced nudity, and other forms of abuse, leading to profound physical and psychological trauma. The panel emphasized that such acts constitute crimes against humanity. Sexual violence. Reports have documented harrowing accounts of sexual violence perpetuated by Russian soldiers. Female prisoners of war have recounted being forced to march naked through snow, subjected to repeated rapes, and enduring various forms of psychological torture. These atrocities represent clear violations of the Geneva Conventions and underscore the severe human rights abuses occurring during the conflict. Forced deportations and cultural erasure. Russian forces have been implicated in the forced deportation of Ukrainian civilians, including thousands of children, to Russia. These children are often subjected to indoctrination, like what Robin was just talking about, aimed at erasing their Ukrainian identity and assimilating them into Russian society. Such actions have been recognized as genocidal by international bodies and constitute a grave breach of human rights, international response, and accountability. The global community has condemned these actions, with entities like the International Criminal Court, ICC, issuing arrest warrants for Russian leaders, including President Vladimir Putin, on charges related to the unlawful deportation and transfer of Ukrainian children. Ukraine is also poised to join the ICC, a move that would enhance its capacity to prosecute those responsible for those crimes and reinforce its commitment to international justice. Despite these efforts, challenges persist in holding perpetrators accountable. Funding constraints have threatened investigations into alleged Russian war crimes, underscoring the need for sustained international support to ensure justice for the crimes. And this is what Donald Trump is supporting and perpetuating. He is doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin with regards to Zelensky, Ukraine, and this war. This can't be denied now. It is easy to see. If you're not seeing it, you have your blinders up, probably because, well, you very well might be cult captured. But yeah, Don and Robin, I don't know what you guys feel about what I just read, but it's just a disgusting, crimes against humanity are continuing to happen in the Ukraine, and I don't hear enough coming from the United States of America denouncing this.
Don and I grew up in the Cold War era. Okay, Russia was our enemy. We worried about going to nuclear war with Russia all the time. And these people, they're always like, communism. And they are actually supporting a man who is a card-carrying communist. I mean, that's what Putin was. He was a member of the KGB under the Soviet Union. He is a communist. He probably still has his party card. I mean, it just amazes me the amount of I don't know, they can be against communists and support a communist, and how they can be against Ukraine and then talk about for freedom. You know what I mean? They can't. I don't see how they square all this in their heads. I don't.
Right.
It don't make any sense to me. But we are horrible for turning our back on Ukraine and our country, and I think we should be just being ashamed of ourselves.
Yeah, I really do think the United people who voted this this administration in should be very apologetic right now with what's going on. This is not good. This is very bad. So someone just commented, you want the war to keep going? For the same reasons that Great Britain wanted to keep the war going in World War II is why you keep the war going right now. You do not submit to expansionist, dream-seeking powers like what Putin's doing and what Hitler was doing. You don't do it. You don't submit. This is a righteous war and resistance that the Ukraine is fighting right now. And if Russia escalates it, keeps pushing it, then we should go in full boots on the ground and push them back to Mother Russia. And you might sit there and say, oh, but that's just going to mean more death. And yeah, that's what happens when you're trying to rein in expansionists and people who are just going to keep, if you don't teach them a lesson, if you don't push them back home, they're going to keep pushing their limits. They're going to keep pushing. You need to teach them a lesson. So yes, it is right for the Ukraine not to be bending over for this expansionist power or by the bullying pressure of the United States of America right now and the extortion by the United States of America right now. They are the righteous ones fighting a righteous defensive war, and they need global support. That is what the United States of America has been. They've been anti-expansionist. And we are seeing right now before our eyes a movement away from that, to pander to expansionism. And that is not the United States of America. It's not Canada. It's not NATO. It's not any of our allies. That's not it. So Russia should put their tail between their legs, go home, fix their own country from within, fix their own country through diplomacy, and stop trying to expand and point the finger at other sovereign nations. And this is 100% Russia's fault. And I would love to see Russia get pushed all the way back home. And if that triggers, if Russia's willing to go to war because there is strong military resistance against his expansionism, he would have been willing to go to war anyway. I am sick and tired of the world bending over backwards for bullies. And Vladimir Putin right now is the big global bully. And I wonder why the bully in the United States of America feels so sympathetic to Vladimir Putin and the way he sees things. Because Trump is a fucking bully. We have bullies bullying each other, bullying smaller nations. And I think what the world needs is an anti-bully movement. Shouldn't stand for it. So yes, I do want to keep this war going. It's a righteous war to defend against Russia's expansionism. And it is the most dreadful, horrible tragedy that people have to die right now because of this expansionism. And I hope the Russian people wake up and they overthrow this fucking war criminal and just deeply immoral, evil person who's running their country. They should want that. Anyway, that's how I feel.
Well, Trav, before I leave you, I do want to leave you with just a little spark of hope for the American people. There's a great many of us who didn't vote for this, who never wanted this, who understood what the assignment was back in the day. And we are fervently and loudly resisting every disgusting thing that this administration is trying to do. And I'm proud to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know there's so many great, the country, the United States of America is full of mostly good people, but there are a lot of bad ideas out there right now that have permeated and have created this cult capture. And it really is a war of ideas that needs to be fought. And that's what we're here to do. Thanks for being here, Don. I'm going to take Dr. Fafo. Dr. Fafo, welcome. Are you there? Dr. Fafo, I need your microphone. I cannot hear you. Oh, he says he's got mic problems. It's okay, we'll wait. Make sure you guys smash that like button. We're almost at 100 likes, up to 57,000 views so far. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, it would be nice for people to write out some coherent justifications as to why they like Trump, why they think what Trump's doing is moral or just or at all consistent with what the United States of America stands for or has stood for. Is your mic working there, Doctor? Oh, I thought I heard you. Sorry.
No, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
You got me. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted a quick thing that you kind of touched on briefly, but then didn't really clarify it. And it's not just that it's a just and a moral thing to help Ukraine. I mean, there's a lot of just and moral things in the world that we could, but we just can't do. You know, this is fundamentally in our own best interests to lend Ukraine all the support possible to win. And it's in our best interests simply because it's cheap. Right now, 500 billion, double that, $1 trillion. It's cheap because we're not losing a drop of blood. The Ukrainians are shedding gallons and buckets of blood for us. And wars that if we win now, we could cut it, we can cut all this stuff off. Russia, if we beat them now, they're not going to, keep expanding. But they're going to eventually expand into a NATO country if we let them keep going in Ukraine. And the United States will be compelled to shed blood. And so we got to do what we can to avoid that. And, it's nice to say it's a just thing. We're fighting for democracy, but we're fighting in our own best interests. So they're just giving the money, the support, the weapons and whatnot.
Well, yeah, you've brought up the other side to this, because there is an argument to be made from an American-centric perspective that this is a war that the American citizens aren't having to fight themselves, but a war that they can fund against an enemy. And that is an important thing to look at, and it is an opportunity to put Putin in his place without having to go full scale all out war. Again, like from a military perspective, from a globalism or even a nationalism perspective, you can make arguments as to why this is the right thing to do. So it is very curious as to why it's become such a popular thing to suck on Vladimir Putin's knob like Donald Trump is doing, and basically believing in and continuing to spew the Russian rhetoric on this.
Yeah, I mean, you could usually count on people for being selfish, and it seems like stupidity is overwhelming, basic common sense, selfish interest, desire to want to live and, be alive and not have to shed blood. It's just, it confounds me. Anyways, that was my whole point. It was real quick. Thanks for letting me on.
Yeah, thanks, Doctor. Talk to you soon. Appreciate the call. We got Mark. I just invited you to speak there, Mark, if you're available.
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hi.
I talked before. I'm from Germany, and of course, we in Germany have maybe a different perspective on this than most Americans, because Ukraine is much closer to us, and there's no ocean in between.
Right.
Yeah. So, and we maybe I told you before, we have like 1.2 million Ukrainian refugees currently in Germany, having 87 million people. So it's more than 1% Ukrainians right now, and Ukraine still has a potential of 15 to 20 million refugees if Russia rolls over Ukraine from the east to the west, pushing the refugees out.
It's funny that you said the separate. You brought up the separation of water issue, because that's what Zelensky brought up in his rhetoric. It's like, it's all fine and dandy when you guys are sitting over here and you got the big ocean separating you. But like, how would you feel if this was right next door to you? Right? Like, I'm sure. Yeah, that's what he was trying to make, which was a very coherent point. But those guys didn't want to hear it, so they tried to jump on it and bully him down.
Yeah. It's also when Zelensky said you also might feel consequences if Russia is successful. Trump used the chance to introduce the word dictator into his sentences. Like you can dictate. There was like oh, he's a dictator. It was just a rhetorical trick he played. He just waited for something Zelensky said so he could call him a dictator or introduce the word dictator or dictate or something like that. So he was he wasn't talking to Zelensky. He was talking to his fan base. He was talking to the MAGA people. So it was kind of a setup, and I think Zelensky kind of knew it from the start. That's the feeling I got from that he'd been set up, or that this whole invitation there and the setting of it all was not about Trump really trying to negotiate with him, but to prove a point to the public. So else, I think, I don't know if you've seen that, Zelensky was on Fox News afterwards and had an interview. He said, well, we should have talked. He said that he liked being open about everything, but sometimes it's so delicate that it's not good to have the press around in such delicate topics.
Yeah.
So that was one way of, so the setting was bad.
Well, the entertainment aspect of politics in the United States has just gotten out of hand, right? It's just, it seems like it's all about like ratings now. It's like, just imagine the ratings after this blow up on the stage where Trump's digging into and pointing the finger at the guy who's in charge of the country who's being invaded. Like that sounds like a horror film or or some like crazy violent action film or something. Like it's just wild.
I think it's very, very difficult to kind of describe the situation the U.S. is in currently. But I think I would put it this way. First of all, I don't think maybe Trump is a Russian asset. I don't know. Maybe he is. But I think the worst part is that Trump would like to follow in Putin's footsteps. So he's as imperialistic as Putin is. He's not making America a Russian colony, but he wants to make something like Russia 2.0, having his own imperialistic agenda, including Canada and Greenland and whatever. So he's also aiming at stepping over the American border and annexing foreign countries. I think many MAGA people have already bought into that.
Yeah.
Like the 51st state and buying Greenland and so I think there's a chance of an alliance between Russia and the US. In terms of them both building their increasing their empire. Secondly, I think there are two main groups in the current political group. How to say that? Okay, let's put it this way: they're the MAGA people as a crowd. And there are the MAGA people as the ones pulling the strings. And I think those are two totally different people with totally different ambitions.
Yeah.
The MAGA crowd, to a certain extent, contains people who were kind of cut off by modernization, likely Christian, homeschooled, or former workers in industries that are not modern anymore, or where America can't really be competitive on a global market. And then there's the technocrats and the oligarchs, and they use the MAGA crowd and the religious people as their pawns. Yeah, if you listen to what Vance said at CPAC about Christianity, I don't know if you've seen that clip. What he said about Christianity and at the CPAC meeting, he said there are worse things than dying. You could lose your soul. So Christianity must be very important.
Right.
So being from Germany, this is very familiar to me. Fight for your country, and also Trump is the country. Trump is America. Don't touch our king. He's the representative in the eyes of the MAGA people at least, who cannot be touched, who is representing the American idea and ideals. And those include annexing foreign countries.
Yeah.
And threats like economical threats as well. So
it doesn't surprise me that the sympathy and the embodiment that I see in Trump of Putin-esque policies. And like even in the way he sees what's going on in the Ukraine, I just think he thinks that the bigger bully is always more righteous, and I think that's what he's seeing in the Ukraine. I don't think he can get out of that. I think it's just the way he sees the world, and he's always seen it that way, where it's just like, yeah, I mean, well, it's like, look at, he's pointing at the Ukraine and saying, well, look at what you've done to yourself. Look at where you found yourself. It's like, yeah, but Trump, you realize that they've been bullied into this position. But that just doesn't seem to matter to Trump. Trump is probably, in Trump's mind, and he might not say this, would say something like, well, you shouldn't allow them to push you around then. Like, it's like putting the emphasis, like a teacher, like a bad teacher, putting the emphasis on the kid who's unable to defend themselves because they're too weak compared to the big bully. It's not moral. It's not ethical. It's not a good or right way of thinking. And I just think that's why I constantly disagree with Trump's decision making and how he acts in the world. It's just it's brutal. Anyways, I'm gonna let you go, Mark. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Everyone, thanks for being here. I'm gonna cut the live stream there. Make sure you're subscribed, even if you disagree with me. I do always want to have a good faith, helpful engagement with ideas. I'm a Canadian. I'm not a hardcore leftist or left-wing guy. I voted conservative last cycle in Canada because they had a better healthcare offering with regards to MRI machines last time. So I am someone who's very center left. But that what's going on here with Trump, I really truly believe that a lot of you have been captured by some dangerous misinformation and disinformation, some misinformation that's purposefully being used to manipulate you as a voting constituent. I'm trying to read accurate information about these issues and giving you my ethical opinion about them. That's how I go about engaging with politics. You can learn more about my ethics, but basically I engage in a well-being. I use well-being as my moral metric. By well-being, I simply mean physical, mental, and social health. So my moral quest is to maximize well-being for myself and those around me. When I do these live streams, I include you as those around me. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I don't have any agenda to get someone elected or to get someone fired. I'm just giving you my take on the fly as to what my moral standards, how my moral standards come into conflict with what's going on in the world today. So that's what Pangburn's all about. If you've never seen our live intellectual discussions and debates featuring Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, all kinds of different people, then do check those out. They exist on our channel. So make sure you smash the like button before you leave. And just remember, this is Pangburn.